Welcome to our final senior chapel. The Lord be with you.
Good morning. 1 John 3:18 has been our theme verse all year, and since it's the seniors' last chapel, it is a good thing to read it together one last time. Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Senior Chapel. This chapel is special to us because not only is it our last chapel at Christian High, it is a chance for us to share a part of our story with you all through cardboard testimonies. This is really important to us, and I hope it's meaningful for you as you look at your own life. During this chapel, every senior gets the opportunity to share a brief explanation of a part of our faith journey over these past 4 years of high school. You will see this through the words written on our pieces of cardboard, the first side representing where we started, and the second side representing what God has revealed to us. All of us are works in progress. None of us have it all figured out. But this is a time to acknowledge how we have grown. There will be a few seniors who will share more in depth what their cardboard testimony represents and what they have learned. To start, I want to share part of my story that is something I'm growing from right now. My cardboard reads, "Sidelined," and then running to his arms. The older I get, the more I learn that things often don't go as planned. Dreams and expectations can be destroyed in a single moment, and no matter how much you plan or prepare for something, some things are just beyond our control. I had high expectations going into my final season of high school soccer. I played on a team this fall and worked hard during the winter so I would be in shape and ready for the season. I had high personal and team goals, from being all conference to making a long tournament run. Then, in the first game, I broke my foot. As an athlete, injuries are something you know are possible, but you never imagine actually happening. There's no way to prepare or learn to deal with it until you face it and are forced to get through it. Getting hurt my senior season has been tough. Although I haven't become mad at God, I definitely wondered what his higher purpose is. A couple weeks ago, I was reading my devotional book, and the devotion was about idols. It talked about how anything can become an idol when it replaces God as the most important. The devotion even used sports as an example. I've often wondered why I had to be injured this season. Out of all 12 sports seasons of my high school career, this one was the most important to me. But after reading that devotion, I think I realized that maybe this was supposed to be my wake-up call. Maybe soccer and success was taking the place of God in my life, and only by being sidelined my senior year would I change course and run towards God's arms. If that is the case, then I am thankful. I would have given a lot to have had this season, to play with my team and wear the Grand Rapids Christian jersey one more time. But when it comes down to it, my relationship with God is far more important than any season or sport or anything else. To close, I want to leave you with a quote that has become very meaningful to me. I've kept it in my devotion book to remind me to be open to God's teaching. It says, "The promise may not be that we get what we want, but that we receive what God knows we need." I love soccer, but soccer is not my identity. I needed to be reminded of how God needs to come first in my life. And though this boot has forced me to take a step back as an athlete, through this experience, I have taken a step forward as a Christian. And in the end, that's what really counts.
When your soul's weary, when you find out, when you can't hear me, lay your troubles down. In your dark moments, when your heart's weak, bring yourself broken, you will find me. Who wrote the rain, who wrote the sun?
Chaotic, and that's the whole point. My life before was pretty chaotic and messy and unorganized, and it didn't really have a purpose. And when I flipped it over, as you can see, maybe you can or can't, I can't really tell. It says order and then in parentheses purpose. Up until last week, chapel, honestly, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who God was. I didn't know who I was. That chapel changed my life, and I now have order in my life. I'm no longer as chaotic as I was. I can't say I'm completely in control, but you guys know how that is. And I now have purpose in my life, and I'm so happy I get to leave high school with that.
carried all my shame. When you called my name, and I am not the same. Who wrote the rain? Who wrote the sun in? You called my name, I'm tired of running. I'm gonna be there near or far. I'm gonna meet you where you are. Who wrote the rain? Who wrote the sun in? You will find me. You will find me.
Hello everybody, I'm Drew Hankowitz. Coming into high school was one of the most intimidating things of my life. The second most intimidating thing was finding my place in this new, colossal, and unknown place. I felt small and insignificant, and what made it worse was I didn't have very many friends. Making friends was always hard for me, so when it came time to find a place to belong, I was lost. I prayed to God for clarity and an open mind so that I could finally find my place. It took 2 years, but I finally found my place. I felt comfortable, and the only one who I have to thank was God. He gave me my place and my friends.
Will you call me child when I tell you lies? 'Cause all I know is how to cry. 'Cause I am a sinner. If it's not one thing, it's another. Caught up in words, tangled in lies. But you are a savior, and you take brokenness aside and make it beautiful, beautiful. You make it beautiful. You make it beautiful. You make it beautiful. You make it beautiful. 'Cause I am a sinner. If it's not one thing, it's another. Caught up in words, tangled in lies.
Hi, I am Danielle Barton, and as I've learned, high school can oftentimes get us to conform to its patterns. Whether it's the pattern of homework, friend groups, music, art, we all fall into it, and sometimes it's not a bad thing. Although I fell into the pattern of sports, and I had several full ride offers, but I started becoming so consumed on the game that basically my whole life was a game. I became so self-absorbed and bitter, and I found myself conforming to the everyday pattern of eat, sleep, practice, and then nothing else. I lost friends, became irritable, and started shifting away from listening to what God wanted me to do. But 3 broken feet, 1 surgery, and a broken vertebrae later, I finally started to realize that maybe playing a competitive sport wasn't my calling. And until that day, I never imagined myself going to a Christian college next year just to go and enjoy it and to be close to God. But next year I'm going to go to Cornerstone, and I really feel like that's what God's calling me to do, and be closer to Him. I know it's hard getting out of the patterns of what we're so conformed to doing, but in the midst of it all, I pray that you guys can hear God's voice through everything. So do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
You make it beautiful. 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 You make it beautiful.
Hi, I'm Alicia Staten, and it's really hard to share my testimony, but these 4 years of high school has really changed my life completely. Not too long ago, like the start of last year, everyone suffers through depression, but things got really hard for me. I wasn't able to find myself and my self-worth because I was very insecure about myself and my physical state. And it's really hard for me to speak on it because I never even shared this. I don't really share much about me. A lot of people may see me laughing or joking, but that covers up my pain. When I think about these 4 years of high school, I reflect on a lot of the positives, but sometimes I don't take the time out to think about the negatives and what has shaped me. A couple months ago, the depression got so bad, I wanted to take my life. I would take many different types of medicine to try to end it because I didn't want to be alive anymore. And now I look back and I thank God that He gave me another chance and that my family was able to stay with me, and I had friends that was able to stay by me. And now I have confidence in myself.
You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. Oh, you make beautiful things
I grew up in a poor home environment. Growing up, I didn't have my mother. She left with my 2 younger brothers when I was around 5. My father was an alcoholic, and it was very hard for him to support himself along with raising a child. We moved from place to place, and some nights we would stay at one of his friends' house because we would have no place to go. My father and I lived in an apartment, and one day my grandma came to visit, and my dad wasn't around. She came in and looked around and found beer cans all over our kitchen counter. After that, she didn't want me living with my dad anymore because it was apparent he couldn't provide for himself, let alone a child. I went and lived with my uncle, aunt, and younger cousin. But a few years later, my uncle started drinking, and my aunt took my cousin and left. God works in mysterious ways in everybody's lives, and it was obvious he wasn't done working in mine. Summer going into sophomore year, I was going to move to Indiana to live with my other family members because my uncle couldn't provide for me. Literally days before I was going to leave, my cross-country coach, Doug Jager, and his family opened his home to me. Over the last few years, they have taught me so much and have shown me how a family is supposed to work together.
Like radiant diamonds bursting inside us, we cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the skies. These hallelujahs be multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamond bursting inside us.
Hi guys, I'm Maddie, and I decided to talk really last minute, so I don't have anything written down, but we'll see how this goes. So first of all, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my sophomore year. I had this girl in my life that was a super good friend of mine, and I loved her a lot, but she was into some heavy, like dark stuff, and she sort of dragged me down with her, and during that year, I kind of lost myself because I pretty much gave everything, all my joy and love to her, and it sort of sapped me. So that was a dark time for me, and now I can honestly say that I'm so blessed to have grown up a lot. As I've gone through high school, I have learned that you shouldn't overuse the thesaurus. I've learned how to love other girls really well and not be in competition with them. And probably most importantly, I've learned how to be loved by my friends, and I'm so blessed to have so many friends at this school, a ton of different grades and from a bunch of different teams. And I just want, there's no moral of the story, obviously, because everyone's stories are different, but I guess if there was one, I would just encourage you guys to let yourselves be loved.
Bursting inside us, we cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the sky. These hallelujah be multiplied.
Hi. A lot of you probably know me as the weird girl who dresses up on random occasions, and I'm very proud of that. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm going to be perfectly blunt, like my dear friend 6 years ago, Natasha Johnson, who had a speech that wasn't necessarily the happiest thing ever. High school isn't easy for a lot of us. It's hard. We lose a lot of opportunities. We feel we get passed over, missed out. We don't belong. And for some of us, it ends that way. But even though we don't necessarily have the most positive things to look back on, like never getting asked to a dance, never getting part in the play, never getting to be the star athlete, someday is always out there. And for all of you have a bright future, and that someday is great. Even though today might not be your day, someday is there for you. And don't start hating the word someday. Treasure it and follow your dreams. It may not work out here, but it will someday, and I promise that to all of you.
It don't have a job, don't pay your bills, won't buy you a home in Beverly Hills. Won't fix your life in 5 easy steps.
We've all had disappointments and struggles in our lives. Death, divorce, injuries, worrying about the future, and so many more. But we have to remember that God promises us that He gives us grace in our weaknesses to overcome these obstacles. God will reveal Himself in mysterious ways and help us to learn a lesson from the things we have a hard time with. God is going to give us the wisdom to get through this if we ask Him to. We're not going at it alone, but God has given us the Holy Spirit as we go into our future to be with us as a constant source of peace, encouragement, and strength for the road ahead. As I close, I want to leave you all with a quote that reminds us that God is in control. I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked for prosperity, and God gave me brawn and brains to work. I asked for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for patience, and God placed me in situations where I had to wait. I asked for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. I asked for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I asked for everything so I can enjoy life. Instead, He gave me life so I can enjoy everything. I received nothing I wanted. I received everything I needed. I encourage you all to be open to God's teaching now and in your future, and to enjoy the rest of your time in high school. And seniors, may God be with you as you go into your next step of life.
Yeah, it's better. Hi guys, I'm Maddie. Well, okay, I actually wrote this